Morning, folks. There was a lot of interest in the last realistic video I did, and I have another realistic here. This is an STA 2280, a much newer model. It's been here far too long, and I decided I better take another look at it. This was brought to me by a friend of mine who lives up in Jupiter, not far from where I live here in South Florida, and he told me it's not picking up FM, and I verified that is indeed the case. We do have audio, but we get nothing but static. So I want to take a look at the varactor tuning on this, and I took a quick look at it earlier and had trouble accessing the points I needed to, and then a squirrel ran by or I saw something shiny and chased that around. In any event, high time I got back to it. It's been here far too long. So let's take a look at this, see if we can figure out what's going on. Alright, this has been a real joy to disassemble, and I mean that with as much sarcasm as I can muster on a Monday. I had to pull off the front ring that goes around the perimeter here. Here's a picture of that, because this plastic piece has to come out. We got to get this board loose. I took two screws off in here, but it wouldn't slide out the back because the vacuum fluorescent display is down here on the front. So we're going to have to pull this out the front, but in order to get it to this point, I had to pull the front ring off, I had to pull the bottom off, and I had to depress all these tabs. These four here on the top, and I believe there are 3 or 4 on the bottom. And there was one I didn't see that was giving me problems, and that was over here on the side. So take a look at this. This had to be pushed down from the front with a screwdriver in here. Once I got that, it released. So I didn't have to break anything. And what I'm going to do is I am going to unplug all the connectors from the vacuum fluorescent tuning board, slide the board out the front, and then put it up here and plug them all back in so I can access it to test the voltages, because I don't think we're getting our varactor voltage. And that's my work phone, even though I'm off today, which is a whole nother story. Okay, so what I had done, I didn't do what I was originally planning on doing. I was going to reconnect everything and have the board where I could access it. But it was really a lot of work to get this thing out. And I had to unsolder or unwrap 3 connectors, 2 grounds back here, and I believe an AC voltage here. And I just didn't want to have to go through all that. But I did mark the board. If they would have just silk screened the back, it would have made life so much easier. I really love it when manufacturers do that, but it's fairly rare. But what I discovered is, when I put everything back together, the tuner works. So varactor tuners work by applying a DC voltage to the varactor diode, and the capacitance of the diode changes with the DC voltage. So if you watch the meter, this is the low end of the FM dial. We got about 3.03 volts, and if I start tuning up, you'll see the voltage changes. So that's 88.3. Let's see, if I go to 91.5, that's where I have my generator set. That's 4.25 volts, so you can hear we have our 1 kilohertz tone. My generator is putting out 3 microvolts, so this thing's pretty sensitive. And if I continue to tune up the dial, you'll see that the DC voltage climbs. Well, we go all the way up to 1079. That should be the maximum voltage the varactors see. And that's all the way up at the far end of the FM dial. It's about 20 volts, so it has a range of about 3 volts to 20 volts. 333. And that's with no antenna. That's just bleeding through my signal generator connection. So I kind of hate it when this happens, because I like to find a bad solder joint, a burned component. When everything starts working, it can stop working just as easily. So I'm going to beat on this thing a little bit judiciously. I'm not going to beat on it with a 2-pound sledgehammer. Might grab the rubber mallet, but I'm going to see if I can get this to malfunction. We're going to beat on this a little bit and see if we can get it to malfunction. Spoiler alert, I already did and I can't. But anyway, I'm tuned to 104.9, have my signal generator set for the same. and you can hear our test signal. That's my work phone again. It's my day off. Okay, where was I? Oh yeah, let the beatings continue until morale improves. I believe this is going to be okay. I can't make it malfunction again. It must have just been a bad or dirty connection. I just re-terminated everything on the tuner board right up here, and everything seems to be working fine now. So I'm going to put it back together. We'll give it one last test, and I'm going to give it back to the owner. Okay, I've been unable to get this to malfunction again, so I'm having to assume that we had a bad connection in here somewhere. There are quite a few connectors on this board, and in one case I unsoldered one because I didn't realize I could just unplug the other end. And it may have been that, may have been one of these connectors, but I can't get anything to malfunction again, and it has not been working since I got it here. So I'm gonna give this back to my friend, see how it works out for him. I didn't find anything physically wrong, so we're just gonna have to run with dirty connector because that does occasionally happen, especially as this stuff's getting older. After I had this 90% of the way put together, I decided to start checking functions. I saw there was a problem with the power meters, and if you look, I do have the right channel working, but not the left. And take a look at this picture. You can clearly see we have some bad solder joints, and if I just move the connector a little bit, you can see that it does affect the power meter. So I got to resolder that, and I'm going to check all the others because there's a possibility they were really tough to get in and out. That some of these joints may have gone bad just from that, but it did fix the FM. So I just want to check all the connectors, solder joints, but that one definitely needs to be reflowed. Okay, so reflowing the solder joints helped out here. You can see we just, oh my God, now it's my phone. But yeah, that straightened out the power meters. Okay, so I'm modulating my RF generator with some YouTube safe music, and I've got that tuned in, I think, to 104.9, which is a dead spot around here. So you see the meters are working, and we have good FM. I'm not modulating in stereo. I was sold a great deal on an FM stereo generator. I could externally modulate in stereo by my buddy Pack 1085, but I just haven't gotten out here to connect it. And I'm not recording this in stereo anyway, so it kind of doesn't matter. Anyway, that's all I have for this video now. And again, I thank everyone for watching, and I like giving back to the community that's given me so much. Thanks a lot, folks.